NES Play Action Football. Real pro action in the NES Powerball. And welcome to Nostalgia, a chronological exploration of every NES game released in North America. I'm Mike.
I'm Sean.
And today we are playing a game that has NES in the title. Have we gone meta?
I think we've been really hyping this up. The whole like NES. You know?
I don't know if I have much more to talk about, Sean. It's another football game on the NES.
I mean, you say that as if there's been a dozen. There's only been like three so far, right?
What are the three? What are the three in your mind? I want you to list off everyone that you can remember, because this will be interesting.
Okay, so obviously there's Tecmo Bowl.
Correct, the only essential
I think
one.
we all like that. We got 10-Yard Fight, our first episode ever.
Hell yeah.
And then one of them was named after a quarterback.
John Elway.
Yeah, okay, it was John Elway. John Elway's Quarterback Club or something like that.
I think that was right, yeah. And there's one more.
There was one more.
Yes. It's very obvious, but I don't expect you to get it.
Wow, that's kind of insulting. But tell me, Mike.
I believe it was just called NFL, or National Football League.
Oh, I think you're right. And I don't remember I can't conjure a single image in my head of what that looked like.
I know it was very disappointing. Yeah, it's called NFL Football. So National Football League Football. And the weird one about that one was that it was developed by Atlas, the people who make Persona now. But NFL Football was cool because that had the NFL license, so you could play as the team.
They only had like 12 of the teams, though, right?
I don't remember that part, but I do remember that that didn't matter because you don't want to be the Buffalo Bills if the game sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
The problem here, of course, with NES Play Action Football, a game made by Nintendo, released for the NES, is that they didn't get the NFL license, but they also just didn't seem to care. Did you notice that, like, the teams are, even though they're not calling them the Los Angeles Rams, they are the same, the players' names?
Yeah,
they
got the license from the NFL Players Association.
Yeah, but also and then they're matching them to the teams from the cities they were in. So
for sure.
Marino's on the Dolphins, Montana's in the game. It's like it's like they got the right people. So it's basically like just squint hard enough, and you are playing an NFL game.
I agree, and I think at this point when it's really hard to even put a logo on a screen with like the amount of pixels that you have, I think that just the NFLPA license is enough. And it's like, I'd say that if you had to choose between having the teams and having the players, I think the players in the league are more important than, or at least more like you can connect with them more than like the league itself, at least in my opinion, at this point in our journey of simulation.
And how many players need to be in the game for it to feel real to you? Like if it was just Josh Allen's NFL football and he was the only real NFL player because it's his game and everybody else is just made up, can you get into that?
I think that that's a ridiculous thing, but I also don't think it's too far away from how they did it here, because right. They only did like 8 teams, which I don't truly understand, like why they're only doing. It's like New York, Miami, Denver, L.A. It's like
Chicago.
Chicago. Like these are like the big market teams for the most part, but I just don't know why they did it that way. Like if you're gonna get the license for the whole union and you have access to every big name, you're only gonna have a quarter of the league in it. Not sure why.
Yeah, it's 1990, and you choose the New York Giants over the Buffalo Bills.
Well, this is 1990, so we haven't even been to the Super Bowl yet, you know?
Okay. So it's just coming. Pretty soon, the Buffalo Bills, like the ones that we want to play, where they're going to be the best team in the league.
The team's there. It's just, they're still the bickering Bills right now.
Right. The stats aren't adjusted for them being the best.
It's true.
You know, it's like really upsetting when every version of MLB The Show comes out, and it's like if the Mets had an okay year, the same players that were in the, great run the previous year now have like weaker stats. It's like they're the same players.
But they're older now. I don't know.
We're older now too, since 10-Yard Fight.
We are.
And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about, because I'm not trying to be mean to this game. This game is not 10-Yard Fight. But is it really like, we're talking now 5 years later after 10-Yard Fight, obviously much longer in the podcast time, but 5 years between 1985 and 1990. And I don't think that this is feeling all that different from 10-Yard Fight.
Well, okay, let's talk about like the most obvious difference here, and that's just the perspective.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to focus on, I feel like, a lot, right? Do you want to talk about what the perspective change is?
Yeah, it's just one of those decisions that you kind of have to wonder, like, wow, this sounded a lot better in the pitch meeting than it did in execution. So we've seen vertical football in 10-Yard Fight. We've seen horizontal football in Tecmo Bowl, at least in terms of, like, what is the orientation of the field on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them have their pros and cons, but at no point did I think that moving everything 45 degrees for, like, this faux 3D effect on this system would make things feel better. It's obvious. It's definitely a striking image.
Right, and it's just 45 degrees. It's not even really, like, isometric. Like, I don't get any sense of 3D depth out of this 45-degree thing, other than the football, but we don't have to change topics right away, but, like, the football having this depth effect to it actually made it, like, harder for me to catch the ball a lot of times.
Especially because it's also shifting your controls in a way that I think we've complained about before, where if you're pressing up, you're actually pressing up you're actually going to move up and to the right. So it's all like cardinal directions if they put a compass on your screen and shifted it a bit. And so, yeah.
It's not even like it's a broadcast view, you know?
This is the closest they could get to a broadcast view.
Yeah, and yet you're still, like, because of the 45-degree thing, too, like, a lot of the field is cut off at all times.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, maybe they did this so that there would be more visibility, but, like, you have all of your visibility in the horizontal view. Like, that was, like, the problem with 10-Yard Fight and any other game that may or may not have had a vertical orientation, was that you need to see downfield, and you couldn't see downfield, and this is taking, like, the worst of both worlds here, by kind of obfuscating your controls a bit and also limiting your view. Now, at least it has, like, it understands that at, like, the most zoomed in points. So a lot of the time, at least when you're passing, it will zoom out to show more of the field, but it's still very strange how it goes about that.
And another parallel to 10-Yard Fight, which I promise I'll get off this. I'm not really saying that they're on the same level in terms of controls and depth, but it's interesting that when you start the game, in 10-Yard Fight, if you recall, you started off being like choosing your difficulty, and your difficulty was like, is this a high school football match, a college football match, like the pros. And that was like some nice flavor text that wasn't necessary. You weren't expecting it in that game. In this one, they stripped that, and they're just like, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. It's like, which one are you? And it's like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be level 4?
Yeah, I think maybe a typical easy, medium, hard would have helped here, but
right.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
That's where the parallels end, though, at least for me. Then it does have a little more depth to it. You do have substitutions, you have injuries mid-game, you have the ability to fumble the ball, intercept, all that fun stuff. So Talking about the actual game now, the moment to moment, what did you think about the presentation? We mentioned that this isn't quite meeting the broadcast values, but other than the fact that the field is somewhat cut off, how is the presentation of football in this game?
So one of the things that I appreciate about this game is that at least everything is there, in a way that it not so much in 10-yard fight, like where it was like you just can't do the things that you should be able to do in football. That Tecmo Bowl definitely solved, and this one has solved in a more, I would say, not complete. It has solved this in a more comprehensive way, but not in a way that is easy to play. Like there, so the first thing I was gonna say at one point while I was playing this game, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to say this." They call it NES play action football, but in nowhere in the playbook is there a play action pass. Now I found out that if I had to do a button combination to change the page of the playbook, and lo and behold, there's the play action pass. But I was actually surprised that it was there and able to be implemented. Like everything in terms of the playbook, all of these different play concepts on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. Like the fact that they're there is just impressive to me. Like screen passes, I don't think you can even do in Tecmo Bowl. But in terms of how it feels to play these things, it's just like the execution, the timing, the feel of controlling these players. It's really not hitting the mark. It feels very sluggish. Where Tecmo Bowl felt very snappy. In terms of presentation, like a broadcast way, like it's more like being at a game because you're seeing everything on the scoreboard, which I guess is all right. Like it's like there's at least like you see the ref and you see like what quote unquote highlights on the jumbotron. Like it's got stuff, but it's all very hackneyed.
Yeah, and you've got the ref, since you mentioned him. He has a voice for first down.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is fun. And even the players have their hut. I think they just keep saying hut. And
they say hut until you snap the ball, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can, they will just auto snap after like 8 huts, which is funny.
True.
But, you were mentioning the playbook. And I think also that what I like about the playbook is the efficiency of it all too, that like in every single play they present to you both a passing play and a running play in the same picture.
Yeah, so
you can kind of like just choose based off of that. I actually didn't know about the turning the page feature, Sean, so do you remember what buttons those were?
You have to press A and B at the same time. The only reason that I even figured this out is because I was in a field goal situation. Like it was like 4th and 7 at the 20-yard line, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go for it, so I'm just going to take the field goal, and I could not find the play. I saw punt, and I know that like if you're on defense and the offense is punting, whatever play you select is going to be a punt return.
Well, that's what I was about to ask, because I didn't see a punt return option, and so I was wondering if you...
So I thought it was going to be like that. So I was like, okay, maybe if I just select punt, it will kick a field goal instead. If I'm in this situation where I'm, I don't know, within the 40, and it didn't do that, it punted. And I'm like, hold on a second, there has to be a way to kick a field goal. And then I had to like scour it's not like its own section. Like it should be a thing that says, here's how you kick a field goal, because it explains literally everything else about the game. But buried in one of these paragraphs is, here's how you change the pages of the playbook. And it took me way too long to figure that out. And yeah, like that's how I was like, wow, there's actually a lot of plays and a lot of different concepts that you can do. It's just they all kind of feel weird to do.
And then a huge feature for both the play calling, but also for the game that it has over Tecmo Bowl is that this supports 4-player multiplayer. And so you can do 2v2. And while it's similar in play calling where, you just select your thing, but it doesn't tell the opponent what you selected, because it's just a sequence of inputs of up and A or up and B. But they did include like playbook cutouts for like each team to like have, so that the 2 players could like point
talk
to
about it.
like point to it on the sheet of paper, and then you could so this way you're agreeing on it rather than talking about it out loud and revealing your play.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense than how I read it, because and I imagine it doesn't, because in 1 player it has the same situation where all of your there's the 8 plays on the screen, and then it's just a directional button and a face button is the combination for each of those plays. Now, it then flashes the play name to confirm that you selected it. I was reading that Wikipedia page thinking like, oh, they have all these like codes and cards so that you can have some secrecy if you're playing in the same room as each other. Like, why don't they just not have it flash the play name?
Yes.
So now, I'm imagining now that in multiplayer, it does not flash this play name, and that's just for local communication. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
That's actually,
and also,
that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. And then also, like, I wasn't able to, like, do this, but the way that it handles, like, what the first player does and what the second player does, like as a role, is pretty interesting too. Where like the first player basically controls the quarterback, and then like whoever would be the first pick option on defense, and the second player will control the running back and then the receiver that the quarterback threw the ball to. So first player's quarterback, you throw the ball, you were the running back, now you'll switch to the receiver.
Yeah.
So there's a true co-op experience to be had there.
Yeah, and I've actually never played any kind of... in terms of sports games in general, I have never played cooperatively. I only play against people. I know that a lot of people that I know that still play sports games will do whether it's like NBA 2K or Madden, they'll do this thing of like, oh, I'm going to play the receiver, I'm going to play the running back. I never really got how that worked even today, but it's interesting that's already a thing here.
Yeah, and just to go more on that thought, I think it depends on who I'm playing with too. Like, I feel like if I was playing you, we both have a good understanding of video games in general, and while you may know more about Madden, I would feel comfortable playing against you. Whereas, like, if I'm playing with my wife on any particular game, if there's an option for us to play together, like even Mario Kart, if there's an option for us to be on the same team in Grand Prix, we're going to be on the same team.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to...
You don't want to, like, just... Because I'm going to win.
Negative
I'm going to win every time. It's not even a fair fight.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's just a tip for people in general. If you want to play more video games with your wife, try not to win all the time.
Now, if it's your kid, definitely never give them a chance to win.
Yeah, you're basically making sure that your kid only gets participation trophies if you let them win every video game. Like, you're older than them. It makes sense that you're beating them. It builds character.
It does.
And that's how you get good at video games, by the way, just getting older.
My stepdad never let me win in NFL 2K5, so that's why. But then I would just play as the Eagles with Terrell Owens, and he'd get mad that every like deep straight would be a touchdown.
There's a football game in NFL 2K5. I thought it was just a crib simulator.
I know, that's where I spent most of my time too.
Hell yeah! All right, moving on here. I did mention about the football and catching it, and it's not something that's impossible to like rework or whatever, but there is something strange about the isometric thing or 45-degree thing that they're trying to like give off this 3D thing, but the game never gave me the impression of 3D. But the way that the football is thrown in the air, and then like it really does need like a target landing spot, right? Like that would be probably trivially easy if you knew exactly where it was going to land, but it does need like a general area. Because what winds up happening is I basically have to recalibrate my brain seeing the ball and realize that it's going to drop earlier than later. Like every catch that I didn't make was because I just thought it was going to like go a few more yards, and instead it was like, oh no, actually that's the end of that. And I can't remember now because I'm not looking at gameplay footage, but like was there a shadow for the ball?
There is. Well, so okay. There is also a target, but only in that zoomed out mode. Like basically, if you're in a passing play,
that's what that arrow is.
Yeah, that arrow points to where the ball will land, but once you zoom in, it is not there anymore. And
but I do feel like that's a little bit better. That I actually just didn't understand the arrow. I thought the arrow was pointing like because I guess the arrow points.
Yeah, it points at a point.
Yeah,
I sometimes I think sometimes it's pointing up. I don't really know what that whole situation is, but
right. What causes it to be up or down?
Yeah, but it is there. I just don't think it's there once it zooms into like the action view, if you want to call it that.
And there are some like things you can do to make your player run faster or shake off players, but there's not really like an animation for it, or at least it's not. If it is, it's very subtle. But like if you rapidly tap, I think it's the A button while you have the ball in possession, you will run faster. And
you had to tap it?
I think you had to tap it. At least that's my understanding. I was tapping it, and it was working. I was faster than them, but I was also playing on level 1. So
I was playing on level 1
being
too.
Idiots.
But the way that players that you are not directly controlling behave is very strange. Because I was trying to do less of like, oh, I'm gonna juke here and do a spin move here. There's no spin move button. And I was trying to like use my blockers, and there's just so little. Like, there's just so many things going on that I don't think any particular non-player character has much AI to them. So like the blockers aren't really doing much, and so I was pretty much running for maybe 10-15 yards and then getting stopped. I would hold down the A button to try and outrun them. I'd get a little boost of speed, but anyway, like I would definitely get caught. So maybe I was just playing the game wrong.
Where do you think this falls on the like arcade versus simulation for 1990? Not for today, obviously. This would be a very arcadey game by that standards, but like it's not quite. Like you said it was a little sluggish, and it does have like, some good playmaking options and everything. But it's not really trying to be a sim. Like, yeah, there's injuries in the game and everything, but it's not like you do like a full season or like manage a team. I struggled with thinking about that.
At the micro level, like game by game, this is 100% a sim. The gameplay is sim gameplay. Everything above that, no, it's too bare bones. It's you can play playoffs, quote unquote, but it's not even showing you a full bracket. It's just showing you a sequence of teams you have to beat in sequence. But no, I think at the gameplay level, this is 100% a sim.
So then let me ask you this question: did they try too hard to be a simulation, and the tech for at least them wasn't there, and it kind of made it a tougher game or maybe a more sluggish game because of that? Like, should they have leaned in more to the 10-yard fight stuff that they had originally gone with?
I think so. I think maybe if they actually did the 8-on-8 thing that you had. Oh, you didn't mention that.
I talked about it before the show. What do you think?
Yeah. If they did fewer players, like if they didn't show the full offensive line and there were just less agents on the screen, maybe there'd be better performance. I have to imagine that a lot of this is performance related, because it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be this slow. Maybe if there was just less stuff going on, if they simplified blocking, like this is me talking out my ass, then maybe it would be a quicker. It would feel more snappy, but it just doesn't feel very snappy. So all of those, it's definitely a sim. It's just like it's not that fun to play because of these feel situations.
What did you do on like a punt return situation where you're punting to try to find your player again on screen. Like,
you can't.
You can't, right? Like, it's like you can't see yourself and you're that person. And like, I feel like I was just kind of pretending like I was heading towards, like if I kicked it bottom right of the screen, like you're just heading in that
direction.
That's
what I'm used to doing in Madden, because at least in Madden, it'll show you a little arrow as like where your guy is in relation to the camera. This doesn't have that. And that was my muscle memory kicking in. But then once I was like, wait a second, there's nothing telling me where anyone is. I would just wait until the first player on my team would enter the screen, which is way too zoomed in. So you really don't have much time to react because, again, your players are all like big trucks that have like way too much momentum sometimes, and so it was basically just putting my fate in the hands of the football gods, hoping that the first player that comes onto the screen is well positioned. And then you have to do that really awkward thing because the switch character button is pressing both buttons at once, which while you're trying to track somebody, and like you can accidentally do like a dive tackle and completely take that player out of the play. So it's not that too. Playing defense was super frustrating because of that. Even though at a certain point you realize that just zone blitz and then switch to the tackle almost guarantees a sack, at least on level 1. If they do get past that, you're almost always left in the dust.
Did you pull off any amazing plays, anything that stuck with you, at least for the week that you were playing the game?
Yeah, there was like a punt return that I really appreciated, and like just the different ways you can score a touchdown, like just seeing those like scoreboard animations of like if you run one in as opposed to throwing one, like a catch in the end zone or like a dive over the goal line, like they all have different animations for that, so those were cool to see. Yeah, I had like some deep passes that I thought weren't going to get caught. Because like over time, you do get the hang of playing this, at least to some extent. But it just never feels right. But once you do something, it does feel pretty good.
It does show a different like cutscene replay, obviously more stylized than just showing the gameplay again. But like depending on how you scored, it has an animation for each one, whether you ran into the end zone or had an awesome catch or a field goal or a safety. Safeties can happen in this game. And that's my only like standout moment was that I accidentally did
forced a safety.
No, not a safety. Did a touchback, and I didn't know it was in the game before I did it, and I was like, oh, neat. They put that in the game too. I caught the ball in the end zone, and I think I was pressing the button I was thinking was going to make me start sprinting. And instead, by pressing that button while you're in the end zone, you just take a knee.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they have that too. So, yeah, I guess that's another case in point for why this is leaning closer to the simulation experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, you mentioned, again, I don't think, like, for what they set out the game to be, like, I don't think it is incredibly challenging unless you're challenging yourself with the higher difficulties. But I think it is something you have to... like learn again if you're coming out of Tecmo Bowl and then you're switching over to this. Like it just behaves at a different speed. The ball definitely is received differently, and I think overall, whether or not like we already know Tecmo Bowl is an essential game. Whether or not NES Play Action Football will decide, but it is definitely a different game, which must have been one of their goals, right? Like you're not here to try to. You're competing with Tecmo Bowl. You're going to try and do something different, not try to copy it.
Yeah, I think they did the easiest way to make it stand out, and that is to have a fully unique view. Like that's kind of why I still have a very clear recollection of Bases Loaded, which was that more broadcasty.
From the behind the pitcher
instead of this weird. perspective that kind of makes it not actually how baseball is played. Um, and that's why I'll probably remember this game thinking about baseball. Oh my god, thinking about NES football games. But yeah, it just does that serve the experience of playing it? I'm not sure.
Are you actually the umpire in every other baseball game? Like, that's the viewpoint. You're basically looking through the umpire's eyes.
The umpire is just the guy also holding the camera. Like, didn't they do that during the World Series last year?
Absolutely.
Like, they actually put a body cam on him.
Yeah, I feel like they have cameras on everything. They put cameras on the bases now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even in the NFL playoffs last year, they had the Madden view, which I had never seen before. I just want to watch all sports in the appropriate video game camera views that didn't exist before the video game.
Yeah, it'd be funny if like MLB TV had an option to be like, and you can choose the bases loaded view, you can choose the RBI baseball view, you can choose the
goalie
NES
cam for
view.
NHL. Yeah,
very cool. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our final topic, which is whether or not NES Play Action Football
is haunted.
NES Play Action Football shows no signs of being haunted. There was nobody ran through each other when people connect. That stops all motion on them, so that's a good sign. There are no ghosts on the field. People can get injured. That is scary, but it is not horrifying. So I would not say NES Play Action Football is haunted. Sean?
I agree. I actually think it might actually be blessed because it was a game in which I was beating the Miami Dolphins so badly that it made them pull Dan Marino. So I was really into that, and that made me feel good feelings. So yeah, definitely not haunted. Now, whether or not it's essential, no. It's too jank for that. I did have a lot of like nice things to say about it, but like that's just because of the geeky nature at which I view a lot of sports games, minutia. But no, in terms of how it feels to play, it's nowhere near up there with Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, I will also give my Essential Games this vote. And Tecmo Bowl was faster, simpler, and by all scientific measures, Tecmo Bowl was more video game. That is the new thing I am measuring things by, is how video game are they. And I know what you're saying, Mike. This is a video game. No, there are video games and there's video games, and we all know which side NES Play Action Football is on when you compare it. If NES Play Action Football is on the left and Tecmo Bowl is on the right, I guarantee you're going to place the word video game closer to Tecmo Bowl. So you just know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
It's a vibes thing. So, Sean, what is the vibe for Super Tecmo Bowl? Because that's going to be coming up. Is that something, like, can we judge that fairly, or is that just, like, automatically on the Essential Games list?
So I've actually never played it. So I'm really looking forward to whatever makes this one leaps and bounds better than Tecmo Bowl, because every time like I've seen footage of it, it looks almost identical. And I know that, Bo Jackson and Thurman Thomas are like, like the alpha and the omega of these, so I'm looking forward to that. But I don't know what it can do so much better. So I'm excited.
And of course, I made the critical error there of calling it Super Tecmo Bowl, but putting Super in the front is something you're only allowed to do when it's a Super Nintendo game. It's Tecmo Super Bowl, which would obviously make a lot more sense. Back when people could say the word Super Bowl without being sued by the NFL, now nobody can refer to anything as the Super Bowl. You're not allowed to say the Super Bowl in your marketing. You just have to...
the big game.
Yeah, the big game, right, exactly. But Tecmo got away with it. Tecmo Super Bowl. And I look forward to that one. And I'm glad that we were able to keep it short so that we still have something to talk about on that episode.
All right, I'll stop talking now.